And we got to remove. Well, hello and welcome. Sorry, had a little technical glitch there, trying to figure out where that cover was to remove it. Hello and welcome everyone that stopped by and stopped what they were doing to join us. We are live and we're here staying in our lane and sharing our knowledge as well as sharing our guests' knowledge with a little bit of their experiences. Today, I'm ThatKimberly and
And it's Deb.
it's Deb, our
It's
co-host.
Deb. Yes, and today we're going to be talking to Kelly Scott. She is the VP for the Houston region for Capstone. She has been in this industry for a long time, many years. She started as a child.
Yes,
And
10.
she's been, doing it for 35 years, and has been on the board of directors for HAA for 17 years. So she brings a lot of knowledge today.
Yes.
So we're excited to talk to her.
We are. And again, we are coming live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So no matter where you're watching, make sure you leave us a comment, ask a question, maybe hit the like or subscribe button so you know when we're going live, which is every Tuesday, 11:30. But the whole overall goal for this live is to provide the audience with useful educational information about everything multifamily, as I'm stumbling over my words. But yes, everything multifamily. So if you do watch on the replay, make sure you put in hashtag replay. But if you have a question for us, whether it's live or afterwards, just make sure you tag whoever it is you got the question for, and we'll make sure to respond.
Mm-hmm.
So, without further ado,
Hello.
hi,
Hi.
Kelly, how are
Hi.
you?
Wow, I had no idea I was that old or that clever and intelligent. So thank you for pointing all that out.
You are so young. Do not go there.
You are,
So young.
yes. So,
Thank you.
Kelly,
Mm-hmm.
yes, and thank you for joining us. Tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Sure.
Just high level.
Okay. Started many years ago, been in the industry 35 years, worked my way up, took numerous courses, classes through HAA primarily, as well as several others. And I am now the vice president of Capstone. I oversee the Houston region.
Mhm.
People say to me, "Oh, you're over the Houston region, so you don't travel." Well, if you put the state of Connecticut over Texas or over Houston, it still wouldn't cover all of Houston.
Yeah,
So yes, I do still travel.
they've
Uh,
never been to Houston, right?
exactly. I travel, people. Anyway,
Yeah.
so I love it. I love what I do. I took a brief hiatus 1 year and decided I wanted to get out. I don't know what came over me, but within a year, I was back in it. I'm
Mhm.
passionate about it. I love people and I love problem solving. So here I am.
Yes.
Awesome.
Well, again, I say this all the time. The multifamily mafia, once you're in, you're
And
in. Like, you can't get out. And
True story. True story.
well, I mean, it was a fun try, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Valiant. It was a valiant try, but
yeah,
I'm
but
back.
yeah, you're still here. You're still here. Well, I know today we're going to talk about we're going to continue our subject on empathy and empathy in the workplace, and I mean basically empathy in life, because we all need it. Um,
yes.
but you come at this with a little bit more expertise. I don't know if you want to share with everybody what you do, some of your volunteer work that you do during the week, and tell us a little bit about that and how that's really impacted you.
So I love this. I'm so passionate about this. Um, in the last year and a half, I guess we're coming up on 2 years almost with the pandemic. I watched a lot of anger on social media. I watched the pandemic become politicized. I saw the division between family and friends and so many. And I'm quite the empath, so that it hurt. It touched me deeply. that we had all become so divided. And my decision was to eliminate things that no longer bring value in my life. So I backed away from the politics, backed away from people that posted the angry. And I thought long and hard about what I wanted to do with those hours that I spent on social media. I came across an international organization called Crisis Text Line. It took 8 weeks of training, and I am now a level 6 crisis counselor. My shifts are 2 hours twice a week. However, they tend to go longer when you're in the middle of a tough situation, perhaps a suicidal situation. You can't simply exit your shift. But I will tell you that this decision, this investment in time and the education and the live working with people who are in so much distress has undoubtedly changed my life and impacted me deeply. And I truly feel like it makes me a better person. Every week there's a twist and turn, a new situation, and I'm humbled. And what I've learned is I don't have problems, I have inconveniences. 75% of the texters who reach out are under the age of 25.
Wow.
And it's tough to deal with a suicidal 12-year-old because people are bullying him. So it has definitely made an impact in my empathy and how I react to everyone.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That's amazing. Good for you. That, like, to take that step back and really decide that you want to apply your, your time somewhere else for such a great cause organization. So why would you say empathy is important in, as a work skill?
Well, I think the pandemic has really underscored the need for it. That it's been necessary for years, but for some reason we tend to interview, hire. We look for the leadership acumen. We look for the skills of their intelligence, their skill set. We don't look for people that are empathetic. And particularly in today's society with the pandemic, I talk to so many people, whether it's on the crisis text line or in my work, that the pandemic has become the last straw. It's kind of the last straw for people because they carry so much in work and in health. And so being able to listen and ask questions, and most importantly, meet people where they are, that is key in understanding them, understanding their needs. In many ways, you're creating a safe environment so that people who would not speak up and tell you perhaps where they need more training, or perhaps that they're struggling somewhere in their personal life, you have to provide that environment in order to get what you need to help them be successful.
Yeah.
I think that's important. I don't think, I haven't heard anyone talk about, discovering that while you're interviewing for new talent. But it's definitely, huge.
It's on the forefront. Everybody, you hear more and more news articles, they're talking about the culture. It's always been about culture, but now they're really putting empathy, emotional intelligence on the forefront. Because like you said, the pandemic, everybody is at their wit's end. The stress levels are up here, 100 times. So it's very, very important for sure.
Yeah.
Yes. What kind of resources and tools, do you use in that process? Like when you're hiring, what kind of questions are you asking? I'm just curious, what would be important to you? Yes.
Yeah. So I ask people to tell me about a time when they've been resilient. Doesn't necessarily have to be work, can be at home. I want to find out how they find their way, and if they need more help when they're struggling with a situation, when they meet adversity, whether it's work or home. Can they tackle it on their own? And are they strong and confident to do that? Or are they someone who wants to tackle it alone, but they really need help and they're afraid to ask? because I need to know how to coach, how to lead,
Mm-hmm.
and not overstep them,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if you will. So I'll ask a lot of questions. I find that as you elevate in your position and you interview others, they're nervous. And again, meeting them where they are, you know,
Yeah.
their kids may have been late to school, somebody's sick,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they forgot they wore the wrong shoes. And so then they get in front of a vice president or whoever it might be. And whether it's Zoom, whether it's video or in person or even on the phone, they're very nervous and you're not going to get who they are. So you have to make them comfortable. So I usually start talking about personal things and ask them about kids and just really who they are as a person and what their passions are. And
Mm-hmm.
once you get them to open up and get them in a comfortable, safe environment, you find out so much more about who they are. And they find out who you are as a person, which is equally important. I'm not just a boss, I'm a person, you know?
Right. Right. I think that, yeah, I think that's really cool. I love that question.
And the fact that you're letting them know when, you know, like say if they with kids and wearing the wrong shoes or, you know, having a stain, you know, like I've gone into a presentation, I'm like, oh, you know, I'm just going to tell you, I'm not going to act like I don't know this is here, but like, so that you can make everybody, you know, you can feel comfortable, they can feel, everybody's been in that situation, you know,
Right.
meeting them where
We've
they're at.
all been there.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Yeah. And I feel like just, you know, previously, like before pandemic, or what should we call that? Like BT, like
The good old days. I don't know.
Yeah.
yeah, the good old days. Yeah, I don't think that we really like we didn't allow for vulnerability.
Mhm.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And if
It was
there's
always
one
looked at as a
thing that,
weakness.
yes. And yes, if you're vulnerable, you know, I mean, just think about like back in the day when you were on a conference call and just how coveted your mute button was, because God forbid anybody in that meeting hear real life happening in the background, you know, it could not happen. But now it's like everyone's like, oh, someone's dogs are barking in the background. And it's just like, everyone has a life and,
Mhm.
Yes.
you know, we're all vulnerable and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
you're right. I think the Zoom, the Microsoft Teams, you know, the video conferencing has changed life. And I love it. You know, I love that I'm talking to a client and his dog jumps in his lap because it's a whole new aspect of who he is. And it's actually made us more personable and closer. And I would like to back up a little bit and tell everyone out there that if you are feeling a little scattered and unprepared today, just know that I wore the wrong shoes today. And thank God you can't see them. So,
But you figured it out. Like I remember
figured it
off
out.
camera, you said if you were 25, you'd be a little jilted right now. And I was like, yeah, I remember in my 30s how things really, you know, could technology jilted me. But after the pandemic, and after 15 years of business of it doesn't, we just roll with it. It doesn't bother me anymore, right?
That's right.
But because life
right.
happens no matter what.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're
You
not
got-
what I wanted to wear, but you know what? They're more comfortable. So,
Well, that is a great segue into asking this next question about, is there a time that empathy, you know, was shown to you or that you've been involved in? Like, is there, you know, is there something a story that you can think about that where empathy was, that you know, seen empathy or that you were involved with as it relates to empathy?
Like a personal experience of your own. Yeah.
sure. Oh, many. So,
Well, this is only 30 minutes, so.
Back in 19, kidding.
Mm-hmm.
So I will tell you one of my favorites, and that is several years ago, I had a regional manager waiting for me when I walked to my office. My office door was shut. She was sitting outside of it. Tears are streaming down her face. You can tell she's really done something bad. And so I am entering my office. It's about 7:45, and she's been waiting. I've got my coffee, I've got my stuff, and I'm like, oh, I hate when people or wait, I don't get to get in and get situated. So I brought her in, and she's slumped down in their chair across from me, and her body language is just lifeless. She's so upset, scared, fearful, all the above. So I'm just watching her while I'm purposely taking a long time to get all squared away. And then I said, okay, tell me what's going on. And she explained that she had screwed up the setup of some leases. We had just taken over this property. And the short story of that is that it was a pretty significant screw up. And it was going to take some time, not money, but it was going to take quite a bit of time to correct the issue. And she said, if you need to fire me, that's fine. I did it. It's my fault. I take full responsibility. And she's just about to start crying again. So I thought, how do I reframe this? How do I, reset? She has been the judge and jury. There's really not anything else I need to do here to explain to her what she's done. So I sat there and I said, well, it's a pretty good screw up. It is. Mm-hmm. And I said, I guess I'm going to have to kill you. And I just looked at her, and she sat there, and she wasn't sure if I was joking. Yeah. And finally, she started laughing, and I started laughing, and it just diffused the whole situation. Mm-hmm. And I said, you are such a good regional manager, and you do such a good job for me. You're passionate, you're dedicated, and most of all, you took ownership of this. Mm-hmm. You came to me, you disclosed it, you owned it, and here's what I need. I need you to go out there and do what you're good at and just straighten it out, and I'll help you. We're going to roll up our sleeves and do it together. And she was so loyal and stayed with me for so long. And we had such a good relationship after that because I knew where she was, and there was no point in me belaboring it,
Yeah. Because you'd been there before, right? Like you probably when you were young in your career, sure, you made that, right? Like
absolutely,
right? Like
I know you find it hard to believe, but I have screwed up before,
No,
no, never.
in your young career, no.
Yes, never. Well, if all instead of beating you, we know that when someone makes a mistake or when we make a mistake, I know when I make it, I'm beating myself up already. I don't need someone else to add to it. So whenever someone would come to me, especially like one time, one of our employees missed their flight, overslept, right? Missed their flight, and therefore the trade show booth was delayed. Everything was behind, and she was in tears. And I was like, hey, I get it. You get one of these missing of the flights. And and this is yours. We've all done it, right? But after that, you have to make the correct preparations. And if that means calling your mother, your best friend, and anybody else that gets up early to make sure that you're awake and on the road, then do what you got to do, to never miss another flight. And she did, because she was a great employee. So
there's nothing worse than staring at that doorway of the flight you just missed and sitting there horrified, knowing, just letting it all hit you and learning that lesson.
That's why I have such anxiety when I fly, because I have missed that flight, and it was a really awful airport day, and I never want that to happen again. So I have anxiety just
making
for that
sure
reason.
You get there. Yeah. I mean, it's even more now because, lines are even longer. I remember I used to cut it short, but you have to remember that we've all been there, at some point in time. What was an example of MPT that was shown to you, Kelly?
Wow. I don't know if my boss is watching me right now, but I promise I'm not doing this to suck up.
Sure.
She's amazing, and she listens. She's thoughtful, and she meets me where I am. And that can be a scary place sometimes.
Oh, yeah. I know you. I'm just kidding. It's not scary.
Oh, it is. It's scary. But she really listens. She does not assume. And I think assumption is we all know how damaging it could be.
Yeah.
So she listens and she understands. And the majority of the time, she says she's going to help me problem solve, but just by listening and asking the questions, I solve it myself. But knowing that she's there and she cares and she will do whatever she gives me grace. I think that's really, to sum it all up, she gives me a lot of grace, and I love that. And what's interesting about that is that type of leadership I excel under. And I feel like I have been so much more successful having that person in my corner because I know they're there. And even if I do make there's a mistake or error, it's not the end of the world. It could be bad. It could be serious. It could cause issues, but we're going to work through it together. And that gives such confidence, and it really empowers you.
Oh yeah.
Completely agree with that. I excel under that type of leadership myself. It makes me want to work harder. It's a team. It creates a team dynamic that I'm like, it's a support system, because I mean, we spend so much time in our jobs and with our coworkers, and it's, I mean,
it's important.
It's so important. So important.
Yeah. I think Deborah, you made a huge point, and that is, we forget this is a work family. It's a industry family, if you will. We spend so much time together, and that's important to know, how much time we spend with each other. We are more than just coworkers. We mean so much to each other.
Right. Yeah. Having a good, healthy, positive relationship like that. Right. Yeah. And I mean, everybody needs to bring more empathy in the workplace, because it's so relatable for any level of, wherever it's at, I mean, specifically in multifamily, there's so many areas that, I think that we can plug, some empathy training into our industry, and, keep it the industry that we know and love too, because it's been a hard couple of years for everybody.
Yeah.
It has. Yeah. Unfortunately, the pandemic division hit us as well. But thankfully, the greatest thing about the pandemic division is that once you see each other in person, and once you put aside the social media, it's as if it was never there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We definitely, meeting each other where we're at, is great, that people are able to, I don't want to say not have the conversation in person, but look past it and just be happy to be around, our multifamily family. Right.
Right.
It is definitely, a great feeling. What do you do? What would you tell somebody to do if they're working under somebody that doesn't have, or working with someone that doesn't have that same empathy?
Great question. You are going to have to slow down, and you're going to have to reassess every encounter you have with them. I would say that, in a similar situation, I had to meet them where they are and really think about what that meant. I had to work one-on-one very closely with an angry person who lacked in emotional intelligence, lacked in social awareness, was not a good communicator, and something had perhaps traumatized them in the past. They had a bad boss or bad employee. They were fearful, unapproachable, and angry, and they lacked trust. And so we had to start at the bottom and work our way up. And it would have been very easy, or it can be very easy, for you to just get angry and want to write that person off. But more times than not, they are misunderstood. And what I've learned is, especially being around these construction guys, is that sometimes the people with the biggest bark have the smallest bite. They're really not who they come across as.
Right.
And there's always that soft little underbelly you can find. And if you really slow down, meet them where they are, and let them know that, you're there to just ask the right questions and try to find out what's going on, and try to partner, try to align with them. work on what you have in common more than what you don't have in common.
Mm-hmm. Right. We had a question on here from Mr. Paul Marks. Thanks for joining us. He says he's a little late, but he wants us to clarify the difference between empathy and sympathy. So I pulled it up so that I'm not just, spewing words. But empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. And then sympathy is the feeling of pity or sorrow on someone's misfortune. So they are very, very different definitions. And that's, so a lot of people, I mean, you hear about sympathy all the time. People, but empathy is sometimes a whole new conversation for people, so.
Yeah. I think the best way to remember it is empathy is walking a mile in their shoes.
Mm-hmm.
I can feel bad. I'll use it literally. I can feel bad, Deborah, that you have really uncomfortable shoes and they're hurting your feet. And I sympathize with you. I'm sorry that your shoes hurt your feet. But if I put your shoes on or if I really imagined what it was like for you to be walking, then that would be empathy, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Kelly. It has been a pleasure hanging out with you and having this conversation.
Thank you.
She's back.
Did
you already thank her and everybody that joined us? Sorry.
Yes. Well, I just started thanking her.
And no one has walked in with don't I get like a big award or something? No, that was why I did this.
Yeah, it's in the mail.
Oh, yes.
I shipped it. Yeah, you'll get it soon. Don't worry.
Okay. Well,
guys,
yes.
This has been awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you, Kelly. We truly appreciate you.
And Kelly, do you want to tell people how they can reach you if they want to reach out to you?
Absolutely. I am Kelly Hufford Scott on Facebook. I am kelly.scott@capstonemanagement.com. That's a mouthful. And I am Life as Kel Scott on Instagram.
Which I love, by the way, on your handle on Insta.
And she's great on the gram.
The gram.
The gram. Yes. I used the word sus in a meeting today. It was great. So I feel really young. But anyways, thank you so much. And
thank you.
We hope we have many more conversations to come. We really appreciate your time.
Yes.
Very good.
Bye, Kelly.
Bye.
Yes. Bye. Oh my gosh. Did you thank everybody that said hello to us? Tammy?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Tammy. We appreciate you.
Yes.
And thank you, Valerie.
Mm-hmm.
And did you get to Eddie and everybody? Thank you, Eddie.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.
And next week, it's going to be secret.
Yep. Next week's a secret.
Yes.
But we will be back next Tuesday for another Industry Lab at 11:30. So join us. We're going to have someone, just as exciting as we did this week. So stay tuned and also comment, send us any, feedback messages. If there's someone that you want to hear from, or maybe you have something to say, let us know.
Email.
We want to hear from you.
Email message. There's our email addresses up there. Please let us know. We'd love to have you on or them on. And if this information was helpful, please share it with them, because that's our goal, is sharing this helpful information with everyone. So awesome.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Until next week. Bye, y'all. See ya.